names. 10. Same thing. Same concept here. 10 kings. Dominion. That's what the number 10 represents. It represents dominion. The law, represented by 10 commandments, has dominion over a man as long as he lives. So anyway, so we have in Daniel chapter 2 verse 43, whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. So we have a mingling here. We have men, which represent below, and we have this fourth kingdom, which represents the evil angels, and they're mingling themselves with the seed of men. That's the symbolism of this building right here. Okay? It's all about building the New World Order, putting together you remember the video we did called The Missing Piece, putting together the missing piece of the Antichrist. That's what a tower is. Remember what the missing piece is. The missing piece, when ISIS started, remember her husband, Osiris, the sun god, was all chopped up in 14 pieces. She found 13 of them, stuck them all back together, but there was one piece missing. Okay? It was his privy member, his phallus. That's the symbolism of a tower, by the way. It's a giant phallus. That's what it is. And mankind is rebuilding this thing right now. The symbolism of the number 11. Let's look in Genesis chapter 11. This is where we're going to get our understanding from. The whole earth was of one language and of one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar. That would be Sumeria. And they dwelt there, and they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them throughly. And they had brick for stone. I want you to notice this. Brick for stone. They had slime for mortar. And I want to stop right here. What construction trade works with bricks? Okay? Let's think about that. They had brick for stone and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach into heaven, and let us make us a name. There it is right there. A name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And there you have the famous Tower of Babel. They actually, when God came down upon this situation, saw what they were doing, He scattered them all over the place, and the building went into ruins. So back to this headline here, up from the ruins, that's what that means, is that the Tower of Babel, the real one, is being rebuilt right now. What does that tower represent? I want to look at, back in Genesis chapter 11, it says the whole earth was of one language and one speech. It was all about everybody united together. Come on, let's just get along. Think about what we can do together. Okay? Think about the name that we can make for ourselves. You hear this from the church, you hear this from the government, you hear this in politics, economic, you hear this everywhere. There's a call for all of us to have everything in common. Let's have a global currency. Let's have a global government. Let's just have one religion. That way there'll be no more religious wars. Let's just do that. And that's what they were doing back in Genesis chapter 11. If I go back to this article, okay, that talked about that, the World Trade Center's Freedom Tower to rise higher than the Empire State Building today. The owners of the One World Trade Center. I mean, there it is. Okay, it's the One World Trade Center. That's what it represents. It's a symbolic representation of rebuilding the oneness that existed before God came and confused the languages and scattered the people in Genesis chapter 11. That's what that is. That's why that focus on the number 11 is so regarded here. We go back to Genesis 11 verse 6. Look at what happened here. Okay? And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. And I want you to understand this tower in this city represents this king. That's what the tower represents. It represents a king that has been destroyed. He's put into the pit. He used to be king. Now he's destroyed. He's put in the pit. Okay? And God says we're just going to leave him there. But they're going to put him all back together again and raise him back up out of the flames, out of the ashes of the fire that he went into. That's what this number 11 is all about. Go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. That's the iron kingdom that Daniel saw. And it devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had, look at there, 10 horns. And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them. Stop right there. Look at the language. There came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. So we have these 10 horns, okay? Like this, like a 10-point buck, okay? We have 10 horns. And then out of the midst of those 10 horns rises one more. What is that? That's 11. That is who that number represents. Go look in Revelation chapter 9. Let's look at it. Revelation chapter 9. Here we have the locusts coming up out of the pit. These are angels that have been banished, been put in prison in the pit. The shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were crowns. Look at there, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, and they had breastplates as it were the breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. They're running to battle. I want you to listen to me. They're running to battle. Okay, I'm going to show you that in a minute. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Now, the Bible's given you a description of these angels, of what they look like, and it's using symbolic language, but it's literal. This is how they look. They actually have wings. They actually have a face of men. They have hair like women. Okay? So the Bible will explain to you all of those symbols all throughout the Scriptures, but I want us to do something. I want us to do something interesting. I want us to count. We're going to go back, and I actually broke it down. I want you to notice that when it begins to describe these locusts, it says, number 1, the shape of the locust like unto horses. Number 2, they had crowns. Number 3, faces of men. 4, hair of women. 5, teeth of lions. 6, breastplates of iron. 7, sound of their wings. 8, tails like scorpions. 9, stings in their tails. 10, they had power to hurt men 5 months. And 11, they had a king over them. That's also in verse 11. They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. And so I want you to understand this. Okay, this tower, the symbolism of a tower, it always represents this Antichrist. The Antichrist. And he's being rebuilt right now. All of the nations coming together, all the markets, all the economies, all the currencies, all the people, everybody speaking the same language, everybody coming together as one, all the nations being put down. There's a fight going on right now. There's a fight going on right now where the European Union is trying desperately to muscle Great Britain to gain a stronghold in Great Britain. Great Britain is very, very, very interesting to me. Why? Is it because I love fish and chips? Well, I do. But here's why the UK, United Kingdom, this is this little theory I have. Why is England so important? Why? Oh, because they have a Bible. The British actually have an official monarch Bible. It's called the King James Bible. Let me give you a little lesson. Okay? Let me teach you a little something. You've heard, and let me give you a difference here. In America, okay? This is the old King James. Oh, it's so confusing. I just can't understand anything it says. This is the new one that's taking its place. You follow me, okay? This Bible, if I open up the front page here, the Holy Bible, New King James Version, copyright 1979, 1980, 1982 by Thomas Nelson, Inc., Nashville, Tennessee. All rights reserved. Oh, look at this. Written permission must be secured from the publisher to use or reproduce any part of this book except for brief quotations in critical reviews or articles. Are you kidding me? You don't own. You cannot have what's in this book unless we give you permission to have. That's what Thomas Nelson. That's the copyright law. And see, they say it's, well, this is just redoing the old King James. Did you know that there's actually a law that says any new edition that's going to be newly copyrighted and owned of a previous work must be significantly different than the work that it's based on. You see, and they went around telling everybody, it's the same Bible. You're just an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. It's the same Bible. No, it's not. It is by law significantly different than the book it was based on. Are you getting where I'm going here? Okay? Now, think about that. That's because in America and in Cambodia and in, let's see, maybe not in Canada, but in South America and Africa and, well, any place in the world other than the United Kingdom, this Bible does not have a copyright on it. Did you know that I could take and I could print out every verse in this book and sell it or give it away? I don't owe anybody a dime. I don't need their permission. I don't need anything like that. Okay? Now, that's outside of the UK. Inside of the UK, and everybody says, well, and the first time I heard this, I had a problem with this. Okay? But it's actually so wise. God was in charge the whole time, and I'm going to show you this. Okay? The King James Bible, 1604 to 1611, 7 years, and all these scholars working in cyclical fashion, reviewing, so that they didn't have not one person had a private interpretation over the Bible. It followed Scripture. Okay? And so here's the thing. When they presented it to King James of England, here's what he did. King James of England actually placed this Bible and the words of this Bible under something, and we don't talk like this in America. Okay, we talk like this. Well, we talk like this. Okay, but in England, they talk differently. Some of the words are different. And so it took me a while to understand this. Okay, but he placed upon the King James Bible something in English law called the Royal Letters Patent. Okay, Royal Letters Patent. And basically what this means is he did not copyright it per se in the name of King James, because had he done that, then when King James died, and eventually he did, then when King James died, then, well, who owns the Bible? Okay? It's not what he wanted. King James, God just really put this in his heart. Okay? King James authorized this Bible. This Bible is the words of a king spoken of in the book of Proverbs. Where the words of a king is, there's power. That's what the Bible says. This was authorized by authority, by a king. And this Bible translated, and we call it the King James Bible because that's who originated this. But he gave it the Royal Letter Patent, or Royal Letters Patent. And here's what that means. That after King James died, the ownership of this Bible, or the patent to this Bible, went to the next one to sit on the throne after King James died. And then after that monarch passed away, it then went to the next one in line. And then it went to the next one, and then it went to the next one. So that right now, Queen Elizabeth of England, okay, rule Britannia, Queen Elizabeth of England now is the authority over the Royal Letters Patent. And let me just kind of illustrate this for you. Okay, you're going to like this. Some say, well, I have a problem with this. Cambridge and Oxford University, they are the ones who administer the rights to